Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of People of Distinction, the talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, peopleofdistinction.org for more info, or you can always email me directly at benji@alcoleenterprises.com. And on the line with us today, we have Piero Rivolta. We'll be discussing his fantastic book, Homo to Sapiens, A Consciousness Dilemma. Available for purchase through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, AuthorReputationPress.com, or directly through his personal site, PieroRivolta.com. There, not only will you find more information on Piero himself, you'll find more information on this fantastic narrative, as well as find hyperlinks set up to take you to the purchasing page. So one more time, that's PieroRivolta.com. And I will say, Piero was brought to our network, People of Distinction, today by some of the best movers in the business. Author Reputation Press Publishing. So if you have a book that you'd like moved, do yourself a favor and contact ARP. You can find out more information on them at AuthorReputationPress.com. And guys, listen, it is an absolute pleasure to have Piero here on the line. The moment you start to do any research on his narrative, you instantly understand what we're going to be discussing. Now, it's a culmination of poetry as well as novels, and it was really built and constructed to offer helpful messages, or at least make you think, right? Make the reader acknowledge and understand what is going on in humanity. Now, Piero has a very specific perspective, and I'm not going to go into too much detail with this because I'm not going to steal his thunder. But just know that this is going to be a wonderful journey for you to embark upon. As I said, culmination of poems, messages, novels, such a helpful book that you want to make sure you have on your shelf at any given day. But especially given the past couple of years that we've dealt with this pandemic and the variations of lockdown that we've all experienced. Now's the perfect time to educate ourselves. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Piero, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you so much for being a guest. How are you?
Very well, thank you. I was better 2 years ago and getting very old, but that's cool.
Well, Piero, listen, it's truly a pleasure having you on the network with us, and it's a delight to have you as a guest. Now, I know we have so much information to cover, but before we go into the book, let's hold off slightly. Start by telling our listening audience a little bit more about yourself and your background, please.
I was born in 1941 in Italy, Milano, and that for me was an important event that conditioned my life because there was a war, and I went through the whole process. And after I became an engineer and a designer, and I did a thing that I like because I like to create beautiful stuff, and I was involved because my father started before, but he died when I was 24 years old.
I'm so sorry.
I built a lot of cars, sports car and design and so. And after I went around the world and I did many other things until I decided that really I want to become American, and because I like this mentality, and so I moved to Sarasota, Florida. Don't ask me why Sarasota. I don't know. Enjoy your place, and I start to do a lot of work, also building and. Many things, and motor yacht and selling yacht because I like yacht. I like selling. So the concept is to do something beautiful and new, and to have enough money to maintain the business, to produce. I don't care to become very rich. I care that I can keep going. That's the only thing. And so I enjoy very much the life, very intense.
Mm-hmm. Piero, thank you very much for sharing. Listen, without further ado, let's go right into the book, Homo to Sapiens, A Consciousness Dilemma. Tell us a little bit more about your narrative.
Homo to Sapiens, the title is a bit funny, but the idea was that the Homo, humanity, they feel they are too powerful to Sapiens. Because Homo sapiens is a man, is a humanity, and it seems that they're so full of themselves that they don't spend time to check in their consciousness and to try to understand where they are going and what kind of support they get or they give. And so at the end of the story, they prefer to invent rockets and cars and so on, be successful like that. But in reality, they don't change too much. They don't go anywhere in reality. They always come back. If you see the different each time you're coming out a new middle age, they're going back thousands of years, and they don't understand yet up to now that why they are here, what they are doing here, and they are very confused. They enjoy to improve the thing, and that is good. But they don't change they don't improve their thinking. They understand more why they are here. They don't go anywhere, and that for me is terrible. But I am part of them, so. But that for me is a reality. You can start to read the history from the Egyptian, Greek, and even before from the Sumeri and so on. I like to read this, and you see that always come out is after a little bit they go back to the same problem, and now they are in this moment. Now we are facing a new middle age, like the European middle age, but global, because the people are so confused with this global, that in reality, the global event is not good, because the people like to live together, but they like to have their little place for themselves, where they can think more or less in the same, and they can enjoy to be together, and it's good that we don't have to fight. But in reality, the funny thing is we have this global thing, and we have the war on the door, and so what does it need? This global thing doesn't do anything. And don't ask me how can I solve the problem, but I believe that people need their little niche, but related to all the people, they can go on together, understand together, promote themselves, but not make a one big tank, because the mentality people are different, because they grow with different education, different use. They grow in different places, hot or cold, and so there is a lot of difference, and these different are very important to stay in good harmony, but with the difference. And now they arrive to this crazy thing of the color of the skin of the people. The Homo sapiens is only one. It is not one different the other one. The difference is only a question of use of what they have done, what they are doing, what they want. There is no difference in reality. And now they invent that and create even a fight among the people, and this bring a kind of middle kind of different period, like middle age, something like that. So that I'm a little bit negative. Sorry.
No, not at all. Not at all. Piero, listen, this is your time, man. This is your time and this is your book and these are your feelings and your thoughts that you're expressing. So, listen, at the end of the day, there's no apology necessary. You don't apologize for your feelings or your thoughts. Now, my curiosity, Piero, and where I want to go next is inspiration. So we know about the narrative. Thank you very much for explaining that. But talk to us about what inspired you to embark upon this journey and write this narrative. Why did you feel? Because these thoughts very easily could have stayed in your mind, or you could have written this down on paper, but kept it in your own private library. But you didn't do that, right? You put the words on the page and you published it for the public to partake in as well. Why was it important for you to do that?
I always like to express myself in poetry and prose, and I always try to find a relation with what I said and what the life of people, because people, I always try to find a solution, a better solution, and they don't succeed, but they try, and so for me, since I was very young, I started to write. Even when I was building cars, sports car, and so on. That was for me very important. And I see beauty in everything that I see, in everything that I can put together. Because building something, even only with the mind, is very important. It gives you a tremendous satisfaction. And I believe in simplicity to solve the problem. Simplicity is a matter of creativity, not complicate everything. Because a lot of people that they don't know how to solve the problem, they complicate. So they create more and more this red tape every place, and everything become more difficult and more confused. So some political or religious people or something, they can take advantage because they're confused and they take away the straight answer. Or a straight answer is difficult. It's a straight question, and so I was attracted by that. Immediately when I was young, I was 20 years old, even younger. I had the fortune to study in a beautiful, in a very interesting school that was run by the Jesuits. The Jesuits are very, very, very strong people, no? And so it make me ask a lot of questions to myself, and so I became a little boring, perhaps, with all these questions. And I try to answer, at least to ask the question the way that people can understand that. Before I try with the poetry, because to write poetry is more natural. For me, they come out very, very easy. And after I start with the little novel, but they're intenser through this novel. They're written like more or less like a poetry, but are story. And after one day reading all this book, because it's difficult to read all the book, because after I gave up, I forget them. I start to go back and read all the things, and I found out that the character of the books, they were saying something very important. And so I pick up a certain number of this position of this talking, and I did this book, Homo to Sapiens, that is a kind of, it was already done, praticamente. I just went through the book through the people that were talking in the book and nothing else, and I pick up the sentence that they attract me. I asked help from a friend of mine that is a publisher, because not to get confused with the word and so on, because if you go into too much in the detail, and so that you want to check that everything was right. So and we did this. That it was very easy because it was already done, this book.
Mm-hmm. Again, here in the line with Piero Rivolta. We're discussing his fantastic book, Homo to Sapiens, A Consciousness Dilemma. Available for purchase through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, authorreputationpress.com, or directly through his personal site, pierorivolta.com. Piero, next question that I'd love to go into, and listen, we know this book is a culmination of novels, but as well as poetry. Now, I'd love to take this opportunity, if you have some of your poems readily available, if you could read one of them for us, for our listening audience, we'd greatly appreciate that.
So this is called Life, and is from a book called Just 1 Cent, and the rest is God. So the idea is when we try to understand the future, the eternity, how the life is structured, we get only just 1 cent. The rest we can call God because we don't understand what it is. So let's read that. One day reborn more beautiful than other. One sky appears much clearer than another. Life is injustice, life is regret, but it can be sweet, sensitive, dear, like the memory of a feeling, like a thought that chases God and returns, fragrant with distant mystery, covered with a remote fear, and return to reveal the true limit of our intricate aridness. Just 1 cent, the rest is God.
Piero, this is amazing. Listen, your things are so powerful. The messages that you're getting across is incredible. Piero, I'd love to ask, as we start to close out of this wonderful interview, we've discussed so much information, and your views are clearly very strong, right? You're very adamant on your perspective and your views. Is there anything else that we haven't yet discussed that you want to make sure that our listening audience is aware of?
There are so many other things to discuss. Let me think what the discuss is we can discuss as we want, but at the end we have to decide in what we believe we can move. We can improve a little bit, and that is very difficult. I found this solution in working and trying to do beautiful things, because perhaps I have, I come from an area where they talk about the great painter, the great thinker, in it, and Il Rinascimento, and for me it's very important to when I do a building, I did so many that for me it's very important. It looks like okay, beautiful, that give you a message. Is not, and I do that because I don't care if I sell more or less. I hope to sell enough to survive, but But on the other hand, I hope to leave something there. Not perhaps not should be super, but at least it's decent. At least it's thought. You gave some thinking, and the whole thing come up with a kind of harmony. For me, this is very important. I have a friend, a lady that was a poetess and many years ago, and she understand, and she told me, it's really true. She followed me just a few times, and they say, I cannot believe, but that thing is not a joke. It's really true. You enjoy to be successful in doing something that looks okay. Doesn't need to be the castle, but to do things properly. And it's part of my family because my father was very, very good in doing this thing, and I have two children that they do the same thing. My son is an architect, and my daughter is building cars, and they put a lot of effort for doing something that looks nicer, and is not important. It's not true that if it looks nicer, you make more money. But you have only to survive because money is important, is needed. But you cannot use more than a certain amount of money, and so it's better that you spend more time doing something else that doesn't produce money, but produce something else.
Guys, this is where the value of his book lies. Whether you believe what he believes or you agree with his perspective, it's all about expanding your horizons. And it's all about changing your perspective and really analyzing the history of humanity. And this book is wonderful because it starts conversations. It forces the reader to really analyze things from a different perspective. So guys, you know what you have to do. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, AuthorReputationPress.com, PieroRivolta.com are the places you have to go. Homo to Sapiens, A Consciousness Dilemma is the title you have to pick up. And Piero Rivolta is the author you have to thank for bringing it to your table. You surely will not be disappointed. So once more, let's grow, let's develop, and let's educate ourselves. And it starts with this fantastic narrative. Piero, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you once again for being a guest with us today on People of Distinction.
Thank you very much, because you really understand very clearly what my message is.